Meghan Markle's business empire keeps vanishing, and now critics are asking the one question nobody inside her circle wants answered. Are these ventures meant to succeed, or are they only designed to keep her name in the spotlight? Meghan Markle launched yet another glossy new partnership, this time a fashion merchandising app tied to her Australia trip, and at first glance it looked polished, strategic, modern. But then people noticed something chillingly familiar. Another launch, another wave of headlines, another burst of glamorous attention, and if history is any guide, another silent disappearance waiting just around the corner. Because this is no longer a coincidence. This is a pattern. A loud, repeating, impossible-to-ignore pattern. Meghan has now moved through coffee brands, handbags, jam, children's books, women's mentorship campaigns, streaming lifestyle projects, and now fashion monetization. Each one arriving with fanfare, each one fading into fog with almost no explanation. Why does everything begin with fireworks and end in silence? The Australia trip exposed something even deeper. Every outfit Meghan wore could reportedly be purchased instantly through the app with commission links attached. Every dress, every accessory, every carefully selected public appearance suddenly became a storefront. But when fans began asking where they could buy Prince Harry's shirts and casual looks, there was nothing. No listings, no monetization, no links. Nothing. That tiny omission spoke volumes. Harry's wardrobe could have sold easily. Simpler sizing, easier logistics. Strong curiosity, yet somehow he was excluded from the machine. Why? Because the center of gravity had to remain Meghan, always Meghan. The products may change, but the spotlight apparently cannot. Look at the trail behind her. Clever Coffee appeared with noise and then vanished. A handbag company entered the chat and quietly slipped out the back door. The jam business dominated headlines, then suddenly no one heard another word. Her children's book had its publicity moment and then dissolved into yesterday's news. The 40 by 40 initiative made a dramatic entrance with celebrity support, and then, where did it go? Every project seems to follow the same script. Announcement, applause, attention, disappearance. Not evolution, not growth, not expansion, just replacement. And then came the besties' retreat in Australia, where the curtain may have lifted the most. Women reportedly paid thousands believing they were buying access to a meaningful weekend experience with Meghan. Instead, reports claimed she appeared briefly, spoke, and left early for a rugby match. Confusion exploded, complaints surfaced, some reportedly asked for refunds, and in the middle of it all came the line people still can't stop discussing. I've spent all my life investing in women. Can I finally invest in me? That sentence landed like a thunderclap, because the women in that room had literally just invested in her. Their money funded the event, their tickets created the platform, yet somehow the moment was framed as Meghan finally choosing herself. Was it irony? Was it tone deafness? Or was it the most honest glimpse yet into the engine behind every launch? Because what if the jam was never about jam? What if the coffee was never about coffee? What if the fashion app isn't about fashion at all? What if these ventures are simply vehicles, ways to create headlines, photo ops, social buzz, and another chapter in the Meghan narrative? If that's the real purpose, then failure doesn't matter. In fact, failure can become useful. Because when a project fades, criticism rises, and when criticism rises, a new storyline appears. Unfair attacks, bullying, sabotage, negativity. Suddenly, a failed business can be repackaged as evidence of persecution. That's not collapse. That's conversion. Her most durable product may not be candles, jam, fashion, or podcasts. It may be grievance itself. The Oprah interview, the Netflix documentary, Harry's memoir. Paid speaking events centered on hardship, resilience, survival, mistreatment. Again and again, pain becomes platform. Conflict becomes currency. Public sympathy becomes monetizable attention. So when a venture stumbles, it doesn't necessarily end the cycle. It can fuel the next round of it. Then there is the communication style. Comments off, controlled interviews, highly managed appearances, carefully framed moments with little room for challenge or spontaneous scrutiny. Speak out, then move on. Make the statement, avoid the cross-examination. In business, however, real growth usually requires feedback, criticism, adaptation, patience, boring consistency. Those things do not generate glamorous headlines, they do not trend, they do not create instant applause, they require stamina in silence, and silence in this saga always seems suspiciously short-lived. Now candles reportedly tied to Archie and Lilibet's names have entered the scene, and observers are asking whether the next frontier is family branding itself. Children grow, milestones change, new narratives emerge. In celebrity economics, that is renewable content. If personal stories have limits, family imagery opens new doors. But it also opens new questions. How much privacy was real? How much was strategy? And how far can branding stretch before the public pushes back? Meanwhile, Harry's role looks increasingly strange. At events, he appears supportive, present, applauding, standing by while Meghan commands the stage. But the balance often seems one-directional. He watches. She speaks. He validates. She leads the narrative. Some now wonder whether he is partner, prop, shield, or simply witness to a machine already too large to stop. And here is the darkest possibility of all. Maybe none of these ventures are failing. Maybe they are succeeding perfectly. They generate headlines. They keep Meghan culturally relevant. They create controversy, debate, defenders, critics, clicks, reactions, emotional investment. Then they vanish once the attention peak passes, replace with next launch, repeat. If that is the formula, then the next product is already loading. So when this fashion app fades, when the candles cool, when another glamorous project appears out of nowhere with polished branding and big promises, remember the trail behind it. Because the mystery may not be why these ventures disappear. The mystery may be why people still think disappearing was ever the problem, and that is where the real storm begins, because once you stop looking at the products and start looking at the timing, the whole picture changes. Every launch seems to arrive exactly when public interest starts cooling, when the headlines slow down, when royal coverage moves elsewhere, when another figure begins dominating the conversation. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, a new Meghan project appears like clockwork. A jar of jam, a fashion link, a lifestyle brand, a candle drop, a fresh interview, a polished image set, another reinvention, another chance to seize the spotlight back before it drifts too far away. Coincidence? Maybe once. But over and over again? That begins to look less like entrepreneurship and more like strategic oxygen control. And the products themselves often feel strangely secondary. Where are the years of preparation? Where is the infrastructure? Where is the obsessive builder mentality seen in people who genuinely want to create lasting brands? Real businesses survive through warehouses, customer service, complaints, returns, formulas, shipping delays, ugly spreadsheets, and endless, boring repetition. But in this saga, the launch moment always shines brightest. The reveal is glamorous. The teaser is glossy. The photos are perfect. Then comes the difficult middle stage, the unsexy grind where empires are actually built. And that is where momentum appears to evaporate. It is as if the applause matters more than the product ever did. And what of Harry? The once rebellious prince who now often appears in the background of this endlessly shifting theater. Many viewers notice the same haunting detail. He frequently looks present but detached, physically there yet emotionally miles away, standing beside launches, watching speeches, smiling on cue, supporting the script. There was a time when Harry himself was the headline, the prince who broke rules, fought wars, challenged tradition. Now some critics claim he has become supporting cast in someone else's narrative machine. Fair or unfair, that perception keeps growing, and perception in celebrity life can become reality frighteningly fast. The children may become the most explosive chapter yet, because branding yourself is one thing, branding your marriage is another. But branding children, even softly through names, imagery, scents, references, milestones, carries a completely different emotional charge. Audiences tolerate many things from celebrities, but they can turn sharply when innocence appears commercialized. If Archie and Lilibet become recurring tools in launches or image campaigns, the reaction may be far stronger than previous product failures ever were. Yet from a cold, strategic perspective, children offer something no adult brand can: endless freshness. Birthdays, growth, first days, milestones, mystery, renewable curiosity. That possibility alone makes people deeply uneasy. Still, supporters would argue this is all unfair. They would say Meghan is simply a modern woman trying different ventures under brutal scrutiny. No male figure would face the same way. They would say every entrepreneur experiments, pivots, rebrands, relaunches. They would say the criticism itself proves the double standard, and that defense has power because it is not entirely baseless. Public women are judged differently. Ambition in women often gets labeled vanity. Reinvention can be mocked when done by some and praised when done by others. That truth complicates the entire story. But even with that acknowledged, the repeating disappearances remain difficult to ignore. What makes this saga gripping is that both sides may hold pieces of truth. Yes, she may be judged harshly. Yes, media obsession may distort reality. But yes, patterns also exist. Yes, launches do vanish. Yes, attention repeatedly spikes around announcements more than outcomes. Yes, narrative control seems central. And when contradictions pile up, mystery grows. That is why people cannot look away. Meghan has become less a celebrity and more a live case study in fame itself, how identity, victimhood, branding, aspiration, resentment, glamour, and media warfare can all merge into one endlessly renewable spectacle. So what happens next? If history is the guide, another polished reveal is coming, perhaps wellness supplements, perhaps home decor, perhaps parenting content, perhaps a documentary tied to healing, purpose, or resilience, perhaps something nobody expects at all. It will arrive with soft focus visuals, elegant language, emotional positioning, and promises of authenticity. Supporters will cheer, critics will sneer, media outlets will feast, social platforms will erupt. Then the same question will slowly return months later. Where did it go? Because the cycle now has its own momentum. Even people who dislike her still watch. Even people tired of the drama still click. Even skeptics help keep the machine alive through outrage. Every reaction extends the shelf life. Every argument feeds the algorithm. In that sense, the audience is part of the business model, whether they realize it or not. Love her, hate her, defend her, mock her, attention lands in the same bank. And maybe that is the final hidden truth beneath all the candles, apps, jam jars, interviews, speeches, documentaries, and dramatic relaunches. Maybe Meghan understood something many still resist admitting. In the modern fame economy, you do not need to build the best product. You need to remain the product. Everything else can be props. Everything else can rotate in and out. But if the central character stays irresistible to watch, the game continues. So when the next glossy venture appears, don't just ask whether it will succeed. Ask a far sharper question. Succeed at what? Selling products? Or selling another chapter of Meghan Markle herself? Because if it is the second one, then the empire may be far stronger than anyone realizes. And somewhere behind the perfect photos, the polished captions, and the carefully timed reveals, the next move may already be in motion.